Good morning, everyone. My name is Paco, and this is Coffee and Headlines for Saturday, April 18. If you're new to these broadcasts, welcome. We get together every morning at 10:30 to take a look at what's going on around the world, near and far, and also to share a cup of coffee together. Um, Feel free to use the comments to say hello, let us know where you are, let us know how you're doing, ask questions, and simply connect. We find that connecting on a regular basis helps us um, stay, well, pardon the pun, connected. So there is a lot to cover today. Today we're going to talk about some new guidelines that we learned from the government of Jalisco regarding face masks and several other headlines that we heard about in terms of television programming that we can enjoy in the days to come that we failed to include yesterday. We got some tips and suggestions from you, and we're always grateful to receive them, and we're always happy to include them in the program. So let's start with a leading story here. We've already done that. Okay, so everybody's talking, or many people are talking about the fact that news are coming from the state capital to the effect that we have to start using face masks to go out and to use public transportation. Um, this, from what I've read, is applying to the metropolitan area of Guadalajara and not quite yet to Puerto Vallarta, although it is definitely something that we can all look uh, at having to do locally. According to El Occidental, starting on Monday, people need to be wearing face masks in the metropolitan area of Guadalajara. This news item was also reflected by El Informador, which is another Guadalajara based newspaper, saying that Tapatios, meaning people from the city, need to go to supermarkets, banks, drugstores, convenience stores, and so forth and so on, wearing a face mask. Now, does this apply to Puerto Vallarta? It has not been confirmed officially. Now, I did see from the Facebook wall of Governor Enrique Alfaro Ramirez, yesterday he had an important meeting with all the mayors of Guadalajara's metropolitan area and his specialists in security and health to evaluate the results of social distancing taken up till today, and to look at the next set of actions to continue challenging the COVID-19 health emergency. And he very specifically says we will announce the results and conclusions of this appraisal on Sunday at noon. So I think we can expect to see more specific information about this and maybe other areas of security measures tomorrow. This will happen after our usual time in which we get together in the morning, but I will definitely keep track of what's going on. We talked about face masks a lot yesterday, and for all intents and purposes, it's pretty clear that they're coming. So if you're not wearing them yet, this is probably the time to start considering, at the very least, making sure that you have a face mask around so that you can keep it handy. Um, I also got a nice tip from my friend Catherine Rochelle. Thank you, Catherine, for this. This was published in Vallarta Independiente, which is one of the local sources that I read on a regular basis. It was published yesterday, and it has to do with new guidelines for city buses. These are the buses that we take to go from point A to B, and the new guidelines say, starting today, buses will not allow more people on board than whatever capacity they have for people to sit down. In other words, nobody will be allowed to stand on the buses. Starting tomorrow, that is today, all drivers will be required to wear a face mask and gloves. It also says for the time being, there is no obligation for users to be wearing face masks because this has not been required. Um, this has not been stipulated for the owners of the transportation company. In other words, can we envision a future, maybe near, maybe not so near, but can we envision a future in which you attempt to get on the bus and the bus driver says, you're not wearing a face mask, you cannot get on board? We can certainly expect this to happen at some point, but not yet. Um, the statement also says that the number of buses in the primary routes at rush hour will increase. Up until yesterday, buses were departing every 15 minutes, and starting today, buses will leave every 10 minutes during the times of day in which the demand is at the highest. Buses will have to be sanitized at the headquarters, and they will have to be cleaned whenever they get to the end of their route. And it says at the end, if you detect any irregularity, please let Vallarta Independiente know, and they will pass on the report to Unibus, which is the company that runs the buses. So this is what's happening as far as public transportation in Puerto Vallarta is concerned. Um, this was published yesterday in Mexico News Daily, saying that use of face masks is declared mandatory in at least 11 states, Mexico City included. Again, this shows us how the trend is to continue to increase this expectation on the general public. I will share the link for this and all these news items in the show notes as always. Um, then I found this wonderful article on Yahoo News on the do's and don'ts of wearing a face mask correctly and comfortably. It would seem like a no brainer, but I also stumbled upon a video of the governor of Florida putting his face mask, instead of attaching it to his ears this way, he put it this way. So even the nicest people or the best people don't necessarily know how to wear a face mask. So it's a good read. I will share the link with you. This is really an interesting read from Vox, which has to do with what we can learn from other countries using phones to track COVID-19. We mentioned a couple of days how this whole concept of contact tracing is coming to our phones. And this is, in one way or another, a function or an ability for our phones to track our whereabouts and alert us if we're coming in contact with someone that has been in contact with someone who tested positive for COVID-19. Another way to look at it is, imagine this scenario in which you've ordered some takeout food to be delivered to your house. Maybe you used Uber Eats, maybe you used Rappi, and then you're featuring on your phone, you're looking at your phone as to where the driver is. Well, imagine now being able to see what the driver's body temperature is. It's that kind of monitoring that we can expect to see in some of these applications that we will be able to put in our phones. A lot of these measures are now being implemented in Asia, in certain countries that have been very affected by COVID-19. We don't know how much of a reality this will be or when it will affect us, but it is an interesting read because this is definitely happening elsewhere in the world. I see some of your comments arriving and your good mornings. We'll get to those in a second. On another note, we talked about crocodiles going back to the beaches in parts of Mexico. Turtles are following suit in over 5 states around the country. The empty beaches in Guerrero, Oaxaca, Colima, Veracruz, and Michoacan now are places where turtles feel safe to go back and lay their eggs. I've also seen videos here and there of penguins walking out and about in cities that are vacated. We've seen jaguars around Conchas Chinas locally. So it is wonderful to see Mother Nature getting a break from us human beings. It is unfortunate that it took these types of circumstances for this to happen. More local news. Paul Crist, who is here in the audience today. Hello, Paul. He started a GoFundMe campaign to provide families in need with proper nourishment. Um, Paul and his husband Louise, along with other friends of theirs, have started this campaign in which he explains very clearly how um, there is no Mexican bailout from the government that can ever reach everybody in need. So Paul joins the many locals who are trying to find a way to make a difference, a positive difference in the lives of those families, local families that cannot provide for themselves right now. And again, Paul's hoping to reach $10,000. He's reached 400. There's still a ways to go, but I am sure that if we share this initiative along with many others out there, we will find a way to help one another through this crisis. I also see this from Contralinea. Um, Vallarta has been positioned as the third safest city in the country. This is comforting to know at times in which we're usually worried about our health, our safety. This is something that we worry about year after year during Semana Santa because of people that arrive in our city looking for opportunities that are not very nice. It is definitely nice to see that Puerto Vallarta has come up in this listing among the three most safe cities in the country. The other two cities that are at the top is San Pedro Garza Garcia in Nuevo León and Mérida in the state of Yucatan. Let's switch over to our screen to say hello before we feature some other news. Good morning, Eddie. It's great to see you. Oh, we have good reports from Kathleen about Treasure Island. We mentioned it yesterday. Um, an interesting comment about Treasure Island. I featured the preview of the play, the production, and when I uploaded this video, the video from yesterday's broadcast to YouTube, they flagged me for copyright infringement. And of course, I deleted that portion of the program. I don't want to get in trouble with anybody, but it is really interesting to learn the do's and don'ts about streaming live. Certainly, this has been a testing ground for me, and I've been grateful to be able to count on you to learn how to do this properly and how not to do this properly. Uh, Good morning, Michal. It's good to see you again. Paul, I salute you for this initiative of yours, and I hope it is very, very, very successful. Marge, it's great to see you. Louise, it's great to see you too. Um, Paul brings up something that has caught my attention that we will be talking about next week. Um, in Mexico City, due to the high levels of pollution, there has been a law for many, many years in which you are only able to drive your car on certain days of the week according to the number in your license plate. Well, the piece of news that Paul is sharing here in the comments is one that comes from the state of Nayarit, just north of us. And the state of Nayarit is starting to implement a guideline in which you can only drive your car on certain days of the week. I suspect this has nothing to do with pollution, and it has to do with the increase of COVID-19 cases in the state. We'll be tracking this piece of news, uh, and we will be reporting to everyone to see if we can drive or if we cannot drive. Louise Anderson loves. I love that the animals are enjoying the planet. I do too. It's a major set of new learnings, this whole notion of having to stay at home, but to see nature flourish, to see animals out and about, it's something that we should be very, very happy. Paul reports that 80 despensas or baskets of food were distributed yesterday. This is absolutely wonderful, wonderful news. Um, Mijal tells us that she ordered chocolate from Choco Museo. Is this the one that is on the Malecon? I didn't realize that that they were delivering, but it is good to know, Mijal. If you can clarify that, we would love to hear more specifics about it. Um, we see that Louise Anderson ordered masks from Magenta. I don't know how to pronounce this, but if you share the link with us, Louise, we'll be happy to share them so that everybody knows where can um, can get masks for ourselves. I've mentioned before that one can purchase them at Organic Select here in my neighborhood in Versalles. Um, then Paul asks a question. I see a lot of people who post music put a note, I do not have rights to this music. Does that help? To my understanding, it doesn't. Because even if you say that, the technology used by YouTube and also increasingly now by Facebook is digital. It's automatic. There are um, think about it as little mini digital robots that are scanning all the music that they hear, and when they run into a song that becomes familiar, that's where the flag comes. So if I say I don't have the rights to this music, there's no technology that is going to understand my beautiful voice and is going to, give me a green light to continue doing this. There are also certain websites and live services that can apply as news outlets, and they can use certain pieces of music as fair use. I have not found the way to apply that to me, but this is something that I've always been keeping an eye on. For those of you that don't know me very well, I do music appreciation lectures, or I have done music appreciation lectures, and nothing would please me more than to use this space, for example, to be able to play music examples and share them with you and talk to you about why the music is good or bad or behaves in one way or another. Unfortunately, due to copyright law, this is very difficult to do. That said, I'm going to continue to share links on YouTube videos featuring wonderful music so that we can all enjoy it in our own time. Um, Oh, good. More promotion. Kathleen tells us that Chaco Diva also delivers chocolate. And of course, Kathleen, who is the owner of Licks, they also deliver ice cream. So there is no reason why we couldn't um, pamper ourselves with a little bit of food related love. Let me see. We have another good morning. And let me go back to a couple of additional headlines that I have to share with you because yesterday we were talking about this business of watching fun stuff on television. And this is something that I want to share with you. Okay, let's see. Here we go. Okay, just as we finished yesterday's stream, I caught this article in the New York Times, which of course mentions other additional wonderful programming that we can catch on television this weekend, starting with a very huge concert that has been put together by Lady Gaga, and she features a number of special guests. Also, there is movie night with Jamie Lee Curtis on Friday nights at 9 p.m. on YouTube. This is on Liongate's YouTube channel. There's more feature here. The Phantom of the Opera we had already talked about. But something that really jumped at me from this listing. Oh, here's a Lady Gaga super star-studded special. This goes on today at 2 p.m. With digital broadcast and 8 p.m. television broadcast. So she's going to have Elton John, Taylor Swift, Billie Eilish, Stevie Wonder, Jennifer Lopez, Oprah, Paul McCartney, and other artists. And this is available on YouTube or Facebook or Amazon Prime Video, Instagram, Twitter, and Apple. So we can find this everywhere, which is a good thing to do. More live readings. But again, what struck me the most from this particular listing is this news in which Michael Urie returns to Buyer and Cellar with a benefit for Broadway.com. This is a wonderful one-man show that was performed here in Puerto Vallarta by Cesar Bravo, directed by Alain Perrault. I was fortunate to work on that production. And it is an imaginary tale of what would it be like to work in Barbra Streisand's basement. It is public knowledge that Barbra Streisand has a basement in which she keeps all kinds of memorabilia, and rather than keeping it in boxes, she has set up uh, like a little mini mall in which she has different shops. So each shop has different collectibles that she's gathered through her career, from gowns to dolls and so forth and so on. So this play imagines a, an actor without a job that gets hired to man the shop. So that's what the play is about. It is very funny. I'm looking forward to this stream actually because I was working as part of the production team during the run here in Puerto Vallarta. And even though I was present at every single performance, being busy with projection and lighting and so forth and so on, never quite let me enjoy the play as much as I would have liked to. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Again, the links to this is are going to be listed on the show notes at the end of the program. For tomorrow, I am working on some research that is a little bit personal and it also has to do with our well being. One of the things that I've been concerned about as far as my well being and certainly your well being is, can we go out for a walk? Can we go out and have a leisurely stroll? Do we feel comfortable doing this? I read online that there's a lot of public shaming for people that are out and about, but I think about this, and some people that are dog owners have to go out and walk their dogs. If you're fortunate to live walking distance from the supermarket, chances are you're already walking to the local grocery stores or to the major supermarkets to get your weekly groceries. So I miss that. And I want to do research about this because I want to make sure that I'm following the guidelines as best as possible. I am curious if you are walking, if you're not walking, how you feel about that. So, what I'm doing is I'm going to put a lot of time this afternoon into researching websites from around the world to see what the current guidelines are, and I will share that with you tomorrow. We have David Dumpy, who's joining us from Boston, my former hometown. I lived in Boston for almost 20 years and was extremely happy there. Eddie thinks ice cream is dangerous. Eddie, I agree with you, but when you try Lick's ice cream, you'll forget about the danger and you will just immerse yourself in a world of pleasure. Trust me, I've been there. Um, Luis doesn't know how to share a link. Don't worry about this, Luis. I will do some homework on your behalf and I make sure to share the information with everybody. This is for face masks, and I will bring back this information tomorrow. Catherine, it's great to see you. Um, and yes, we should all tune in to see the Lady Gaga special. Thank you, Michal, for confirming that it is a chocolate museum on the Malecon, and thank you for the link. It is right there, folks. If you want to order some chocolate to be delivered, that's a great way to support a local business and to, again, treat yourselves to something sweet and wonderful. Um, Lars looks forward to the research. I want to go to the mountains. I want to go hiking. I want to uh, forget, and this is a horrible way to put it, but I want to forget a little bit of what we're doing. Or I just want to walk around the block and take photographs with my camera to share with you. But I don't want you guys, you know, chastising me because I went out to take beautiful photographs either. But more importantly, I want to stay healthy, both physically and mentally, and I want you to stay healthy physically and mentally as well. It's nice to hear that Kathleen and Todd are taking walks. Astrid, thank you very much for your guideline. As long as you keep the sana distancia, you should go out for a walk. Um, there is a good this is good to read. That just makes me so happy, and it gives me some comfort to know that you're out there also taking care of yourselves. Um, More support for the research, absolutely. I think walking is amazing, whether you do it alone or maybe we can walk with our friends as long as we stay certainly to a certain distance from one another. I love my podcasts and I love listening to podcasts when I'm out and about. So um, I will do some research and I will share it with you. And that's pretty much what I have for you today. I hope that all this information has been useful. Again, we will put all the information in the show notes when the program is over. And keep your comments coming, keep your questions and your tips coming. They're very much appreciated. I do my best in finding all these news for you every single day so that we can share them and comment them. But I'm always grateful when friends like you, certainly Catherine this morning, who shared the tip about the public buses. I'm always grateful when I get tips from you, because it gives me an indication that you're as concerned as I am for our well-being. It's Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a super, super day. Enjoy some of this wonderful television programming. And I will see you tomorrow at the same time. Have a great day.